everybody. Welcome back to Legal Talk. I am your host, John Mitchell, and we are here on the Now Media Network. Very pleased, very happy, grateful to have everybody out in the audience here with us tune in today. Boy, oh boy, do we have some excellent information for you. I'm so excited. I'm so enthusiastic. I've got today with us Robin Grain, divorce mediator extraordinaire. She has agreed to come back and be tortured a little bit more with my presence here. Just kidding. But she's decided to come back on the show and be with us and share some excellent knowledge. Very pleased to have her. So thank you very much, Robin, for coming back on the show with us.
Thank you, John, for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Hey, so we've gotten some questions in to come in, and I know we talked a little bit about it before we got started. So we'll jump right in and ask, first question. So that would be, let's say I'm getting a divorce. Okay, so tell my wife it's not really true, just as a hypothetical, right? So I'm getting a divorce. I got a business. Business has got some real estate, right? Like let's say I've got an office building my business is in. How is that real property going to be addressed in the context of a divorce proceeding if it's in the name of a business?
Okay, that's a good question. So all assets in a divorce, we're going to have to, we always are going to do four things. We're going to determine what the asset is. In this case, it's a piece of commercial property. We're going to determine what its value is. If it's going to be part of the divorce, we're going to determine who owns it, and we're going to determine what its classification is. Classification will be key when answering this question. What classification means is that office building part of the marital estate? If it belongs to the marriage, which means it was purchased during the marriage, with marital assets, that doesn't mean that there can't be a loan still attached to it, but was the money that was put into it marital? If so, it can be on the table most places, on the table for division and distribution in a divorce. But if it's owned in the name of just the business or just one of the parties, judges most places, certainly in my state, Virginia, they can't order that it be sold. In other words, you couldn't just pull money and sell it and take the net profit and start dividing that up. But what a judge could do is let's say that this commercial property is owned in one spouse's name, the business owner spouse's name, or it's owned by the business, the judge could take all of the other assets in the marriage and give it to the non-business owner. So that's kind of a you got a lot of facts that you're going to have to dig around and to get the answer to that. But that's okay, because that's what lawyers and mediators do.
Yes, indeed. Hey, that reminds me, when I was in law school, we studied about Roman Emperor Justino, a very famous jurist. He made civil code and stuff. And so they asked him, Justino, what is justice, right? How do you define justice? And he said, justice is making sure that every person gets what they deserve. And so that's kind of what you do, like King Solomon. You're out there helping people get what they deserve, in the context of going to Splitsville. So very important work. That is hands-on doing justice right there.
Yeah.
And so that leads me to the next question. So let's say you got some property, you're going to divide it up. So you're telling me that property that's in the name of the business is part of the business. So what kind of options are there when you're dividing up the property like that in a divorce? If it's part of the business, would you, let's say, maybe take the value of that and maybe offset it with some other type of a marital asset, or how would that work?
Yes, you could. That happens all the time. Offset it with a marital asset. However, in a lot of the cases that I've dealt with over the years where there's a business, so many small business owners put all their extra money, quote unquote, into the business. They don't have tons of cash laying around. They don't have necessarily huge retirement accounts, especially if they're in the middle of building that business, which is unfortunately often when the marriage ends. because of the distraction of the business owner building the business. Um, but oftentimes what's going to happen, the best that you can do is pay the non-business owning spouse out over time. So it kind of looks like alimony, but it's not. It's what we call a, a periodic monthly distribution of property. And sometimes that's the best that you can do. I mean, unless you're very wealthy and can offset that payment with something else.
Right, right, and that's why it's so important the work that the courts do, that judges do. You know, it's not a one size fits all thing, and that's a discussion that I've had, you know, many times with people. The court is supposed to be, it's kind of like making a tailor made suit for each individual's needs, right? So you have to, you know, I have seen this many times, just like what you're saying. People don't have a bunch of extra cash laying around, so you do the best you can do. You divide it up, and it might
Yeah.
have to be, you know, periodic payments. And I think so. The follow-up question that I've been given here, and I think you already touched on that. So just to, you know, reiterate, if you've got a business and the business has some property, that let's say the business owns real property, the judge really cannot force a business to sell property as part of a divorce settlement. That's what I'm understanding?
That is my understanding how it works most places. Remember, I am in Virginia, and I know
Right.
Virginia law. A judge couldn't even order somebody to sell real estate if that real estate was just owned in one spouse's name, which seems odd because that property might belong to the marriage because it was acquired during the marriage, but a judge can only order jointly owned property to be sold. But if there's no other place to get them, well, I have to say, John, that's why people need to mediate. It's in the courthouse that things get very complicated, and the judge's job is not to necessarily be creative and structure a settlement. It's the attorney's jobs of the people that are in court, the people getting divorced, to present to the judge their creative, what we often call structured settlements. But in mediation, it's three brains getting together and figuring that out. Me and the two clients, the two spouses. So when you have a case where there's a business involved, that's always a complicated case, almost always a complicated case. And I would recommend that those types of people stay away from the courthouse because they need to be creative, and the creativity can be created in the mediation for everybody's best interest without it costing you a zillion dollars.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Hey, you know, that reminds me of this saying that I always say, and it's so true. Even a bad settlement is better than a good lawsuit 7 days a week, right? So I think that's
Yeah.
very important. The thing that you're bringing up, that's the reason why it's so important to use folks out there. Use a person like Robin, a mediator, because once the judge starts imposing his will, I mean, everybody walks away unhappy. But if you go to
Yeah.
mediation, that might be your best shot at getting, getting the
Yeah.
justice that you deserve, right?
You should
Because you've
start there.
negotiated it.
However, in these business cases, sometimes that's where you do get some, really like hiding of money or trying to hide money, and uh, these cases do oftentimes end up in litigation because there's a trust factor. So though I would always recommend mediation, if the non-business owning spouse has even, has a feeling that the other person might be trying to hide assets, no, mediation is not the way to go.
Yeah, so in other words, maybe folks are not dealing in good faith.
Yeah, you can't. Well, you can't mediate at a firm like mine. I do not require that people have attorneys. If you mediate with one of the firms that allows the attorneys to direct the process, which isn't my style of mediation, then you can mediate. So, but you got to believe that the other person's telling the truth, or you
Right.
need a lawyer.
Okay, so that's wonderful information you shared with us today, man. We so appreciate you coming on the show and
Thank
sharing
you.
all this good stuff with us. So
Thanks.
please, just to close things out, let's tell people how can they go ahead and get a hold of Robin if they want to do that.
All right, you can go on my website, which is super simple, grainmediation.com. It's right up there on the screen. You can call me. Believe it or not, I'm one of those people that still gets the phone, or you can email me. And then there's also a little button you can push to book a conference with me if you prefer that way. It's all good.
All right, Robin. Well, thanks very much again for being on the show with us today. I'm sure that everybody got a lot out of that, and as did I. I learned something new every time Robin comes on. So really appreciate it, and thanks very much, and thanks everybody out there for being with us. We will go and take a quick commercial break, and then we will be back with another segment of Legal Talk.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
The legal profession is not immune to the disruptive power of artificial intelligence. AI is reshaping the way lawyers research, analyze, and manage legal matters. AI-powered legal research tools can sift through vast volumes of legal documents, statutes, and case law in seconds, providing lawyers with comprehensive insights to build their cases. In courtrooms, AI is used to manage and present digital evidence effectively. It can organize and analyze evidence, making complex cases more understandable for judges and juries. In contract review, AI quickly identifies potential risks, inconsistencies, and compliance issues in legal contracts, saving valuable time and reducing human errors. The future of law is being shaped by AI. AI is streamlining legal research, improving courtroom presentations, enhancing contract analysis, and making legal information more efficient and accessible. Data Dive, infinite insights instantly.
Taking a trip in the next 12 months? Airlines are under tremendous pressure and they're practically giving away their unsold seats. Like every crisis, this one will end too. But right now is the best time to take advantage of giveaway ticket prices on their unsold seats. We're not allowed to publish these low fares online. The only way to get these rock bottom giveaway prices is to call. So phone low-cost airlines now for airline ticket prices you may never see again.
Hi, my name is Michelle Merhar. You may remember me from the morning news. I'd like to tell you how getting data and documents into action fast gives you a competitive edge. Digital-first thinking to manage document workflows efficiently are giving all organizations a competitive edge. In fact, digital document automation is an essential process, helping us to become more profitable and to compete. By making any process paperless with secure automation, decisions can be made efficiently, virtually from anywhere. You'll be able to find and share documents securely in seconds. Your staff will be empowered by making optimal use of every office hour. And by the way, the size of your organization doesn't matter. Precision Products has been helping organizations for more than 30 years with paper to digital processes. including scanning systems for any document to premises and cloud document management systems. We make it easy and scalable for your business process needs from the office or other locations, even mobile devices. Contact us to see how we can help your organization succeed. Contact Will Waterall direct at 713-446-5939 and visit us on the web at precisionproductsinc.com.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Legal Talk. Hope you enjoyed that good commercial break. And now we are back for another segment with our favorite guest, Robin Gray. She is a divorce mediator working out of Virginia. And you know, on the break, we were chatting a little bit, and I just thought it might be a good moment to just make sure that everybody understands, because we're, being broadcast in several different jurisdictions, and just make sure that everybody out there understands. Robin is located in Virginia. She's going at answering these questions based on Virginia law. And, divorce and family law matters, they're really state dependent. So, the law in one state doesn't necessarily match the other states. And so just caveat out to people out there, this, whatever we see here on the show is not legal advice. And, your best advice is to find somebody. This is general information, so find somebody in your state that can answer your question, more particularly according to the law of the state where you are located. Is that about right, Rob? Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's about right. But I think that there are the laws over time have become more uniform state to state, and there are certain principles. And you may have noticed in some of our other interviews that when I know it's a very state-specific matter that I'm talking about, I do mention the fact that I practice in Virginia, and that's where my expertise lies. But there are plenty of things that are applicable throughout the whole country. I'll be sure to mention it if it's a little out of my purview, because it's. And sometimes Virginia law is strange, and I know where it's strange. I won't mention that if I know that what I'm used to dealing with every day is different than what it is most places.
Right. Well, yeah, and that brings up a good segue into our next set of questions here, because last time we chatted, we were talking about real estate as part of a business, right? Mm-hmm. So jump in a little bit ahead and talking now about intellectual property, okay? Mm-hmm. So as you know, businesses, intellectual property is a big deal. You got your trademarks and your patents. So the question is, let's say you got some intellectual property in a business, a trademark, patent, whatever. How is that valued and how is that divided up during a divorce proceeding?
Right. Well, first I'd like to say most of that work is not done around where I am. I'm in the D.C. area. That's kind of more your L.A., your New York kind of stuff. But I do see a little bit of that usually in terms of, I've had several clients that have written books. I would say that if you have some valuable or fairly valuable intellectual property, which is books and movies and ideas and things of that nature, you're going to want an expert to value that. You're probably going to have to ask your mediator or your attorney for a referral for an expert, and they might not have one, but they might have to ask their colleagues for a referral for an expert. These people are not a dime a dozen, at least where I am. But you're going to want somebody that maybe even an intellectual property attorney might be the first place to go. Not that they would be your expert that would be able to value that intellectual property, but they would know the experts. Does that help?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That is very helpful. In other words, just to summarize that, you're going to probably need an expert to help evaluate that. And, divorce attorneys have worked with this type of case before. They probably know the right people. So that's a good resource for folks out there. First thing you'd want to do is ask your attorney, does they have anybody that usually works with? And, same thing in my line of business. I know people. So if something is outside of my purview, I definitely probably know somebody that I can send you to, so that we can work as as part of a team effort to get to the right result. So now moving along. So let's say you're in the midst of a divorce, or you are about finishing up a divorce, and now you've got some intellectual property as part of a business venture. What kind of challenges do you see that business owners could face in keeping control of their intellectual property after a divorce?
Well, if it was the type of marriage where the owner of the intellectual property chatted it up with his spouse about that intellectual property, now you have somebody that could leak that intellectual property. Let's say you were getting ready to launch a business based on, I don't know, a patent or an idea or a writing. You might want to investigate some sort of a gag order, which I haven't done in any of my divorce cases that I've been involved in when I was a litigator. But I would definitely be looking into that. I mean, that's a real volatility there, that your spouse is going to spill the beans on something that needs to have a tight lid on it until you launch the whatever project that you're launching. I'd be very concerned about that.
Right. Yeah. Hey, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Well, they know all your secrets, though. I mean, when you get divorced, but whatever your secrets are is.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It can be troubling for people.
Yes. People get in a divorce type situation, and all of a sudden that person that you've spent maybe years with, maybe decades with, that person that you have confided all of your deepest, darkest secrets, not that secrets are necessarily dark, but they know all your secrets, and now that person is out there and they've got maybe some kind of a penchant for vengeance or something. And so got to be careful with that. So gag order, that might be, might have to do something like that. Now, let me ask you this final
even with a gag order, some people are willing to violate a court order. I have a lot of cases that my clients have security clearances because I'm in the DC area with the government and the military industrial complex and all that. So I have quite a few clients that their first thought when the marriage ends is to come to mediation because it's a confidential process. Whereas if you take your divorce case, and especially your divorce case where there's an intellectual property matter that you're trying to keep a lid on, and you go bouncing into the courthouse because you're going to litigate, guess what? That's a public process. So that's a problem. So once again, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or try to convince everyone to go to mediation. But if you want to keep things quiet, you are not going to litigate. You are not going to go to the courthouse.
Right. Another good reason to engage in some mediation, keep things a little bit more private. So that is perfectly understandable. So anyway, last question for this segment: can intellectual property be considered to be separate property, or is it always necessarily a part of the marital estate?
Oh, that's a tough question. But that kind of applies to the same thing with businesses. Okay. So if that intellectual property was created before the marriage, it does not belong to the marriage. If it was created during the marriage, it came from the brain power of the spouse whose name is on that intellectual property, it's possible that it could be considered separate property. Now we're getting into the weeds of state by state law. But even so, I would say that in most states, it would be a tough battle if the intellectual property was created during the marriage to say that it was the separate, in other words, it doesn't belong to the marital estate, the separate property of the creator of the intellectual property. If perhaps it could be considered, you know what, it would be tough. That would be a really tough call to do that. I mean, I'm thinking that it could be considered analogous to personal goodwill. In other words, if the business is 100% kind of like me, and there was nothing to sell in the business, sometimes that can be considered separate property, but usually not. Usually not. It's what people don't understand that they get upset about in my mediations is it's so much about timing. When was that asset acquired? Intellectual property is an asset, just like a car and a house. So that would be a tough one to try to take that off the table.
Right, you know,
I hope that helps.
That's why we get paid the big bucks, Robin.
This is what keeps the
leave it
lawyers
to the
in
experts,
business,
right?
right? If there were easy answers for these hard questions that you keep throwing at me, people like me and as a mediator and the lawyers wouldn't have work. It's not easy. It's complicated.
Yes, indeed. It's complicated, but, people are in good hands when they call you. And so if they want to call you and they want to be in those good hands, how would they go about doing that, Robin?
Just go on my website and you'll see all the different ways to contact me through the website. Phone number, I do get the phone. Email, the website is right up there on the screen, and I would be happy to answer your questions. I get calls from all over the country. I can usually help people one way or another. I can at least steer them in the right direction. Sometimes we even get on the phone and look at the mediators in their area, and I help them pick one. So don't hesitate if you're not in Virginia. I'll do my best.
Yeah, there's a rumor going around, Robin, that if people call that number, they actually get you on the phone.
They get me, yeah. Or they get my voicemail, but they do not get an assistant. Many years ago, I had an assistant that was very smart, and she couldn't help herself but to give legal advice to clients, so she had to go. And I thought after that, I'll just do it myself. And if people have to wait 24 hours, that's not the end of the world. They will get me.
Right, got it. All right, so you heard it out there, folks. If you have questions, you have a burning desire to, get your divorce done, the best way possible, help you out with all these sticky questions about real estate and intellectual property and all that good stuff. Call Robin, get her on the phone, go to the website, and you're going to get in touch with one of the best folks out there. So appreciate everybody being with us on the show today. Appreciate Robin coming on and sharing all that good knowledge. Thank you very much for being with us, to Robin, and thank you to the folks out there, audience. Again, my name is John Mitchell, host of Legal Talk on the NowMedia Network, and we will see everybody out there next time.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
Call 855 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
What if this happened to you when you're alone? Or what if it happened here? With MedGuard Alert, you're never alone. You can connect with medical professionals anywhere, anytime. And now MedGuard is introducing our exclusive new Care Watch. If you need help quickly, use it from anywhere to contact medical professionals. No cell phone required. The Care Watch is not only a life-saving medical alert device, it's a revolutionary health monitoring system that checks your blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation, and much more. And here's the best part. If you have Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. The Care Watch is only available through MedGuard Alert. Call us right now. We have monitoring programs starting as low as $1 a day. The call is free, activation is free, shipping is free, and no contract is required. Remember, with Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. Don't wait. Call us to get your Care Watch right now. Operators are standing by.
Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome back to Now Media Networks. Welcome back to Legal Talk. I am your host, John Mitchell. Man, oh man, I'm very excited. I'm happy. We have today with us for this segment, divorce mediator extraordinaire, Robin Grain, one of the best in the country. Personally know her. She's a wonderful, not only a good professional, but just a good, nice person. And I'm so pleased, so happy to have Robin with us. Thank you, Robin, for being with us.
Thank you, John. It's my pleasure.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So today we were talking a little bit about divorce, as we want to do. And so what impact does a divorce have on existing business partnerships? Like, i.e., let's say I'm in business, I've got my partner, but then I've got my partner in life, and, that's headed down the road of Splitsville. And so now how does my partner, I guess, protect themselves if the business partner is going through a divorce? What can you tell us about that?
Duck and cover. All right. First of all, okay, so we're talking about the business partner, not the divorcing person, but the partner. Well, I'd be looking at my business partnership paperwork. I'd be reviewing the partnership documents just so I was ready for anything that came at me. I'm not even sure what exactly you'd be looking for, but I would want to be ready because there's going to be a lot of requests for information coming at you. You need to be prepared to have the business be spending a lot of time answering a lot of questions from the spouse of your partner. If this is a case that's in litigation, and that's kind of how the question was postured, that was my feeling anyway. Here is what if I was trying to protect the business and I was the partner of a business partner of somebody going through litigation, I would want to know what the strategy of my partner's attorney, my partner's divorce attorney, is. And I would think that would be very, very important, so I would know a little bit, how to answer questions. And, I'm not encouraging anybody to fudge the documents, but, there's sometimes more than one way to run your financials. And I'm getting kind of uncomfortable here answering this question. This is a very strategical question. So bottom line is, if I was the partner, I would want to have many conversations with my partner's divorce attorney to figure out what his or her strategy is. And if I felt that strategy was protective of my business, I would see what I could do to help bolster the strategy. How's that?
Oh, but that is wonderful.
That is not what I do as a mediator. That is what I did as a litigator. Not how we think. So I'm going back a little bit to when I was more of a strategist as a litigator.
Rewind a little bit. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I got it. Okay, so the impact that a divorce will have on the business partnership. If I'm understanding correctly, the thing that I mainly hear you saying is that when you got a couple of partners in business together, one of them is getting divorced, the impact that's going to have on the business, it's a big distraction. So it might be a monetary thing, but definitely a time commitment that's going to be involved. And so it's kind of just a big distraction. Is that kind of the takeaway?
Right. Yes, but you're going to want to know what the strategy is, because it might be worth every minute that you spend if it's going to help the business in the end. If the strategy's all over the place, if there is no strategy, you might want to tell your partner they need a new attorney, because you're basically in this divorce. You're a part of it. So you need to be involved as much as they'll let you. Does that make sense?
Right, got it. So if you're in business with somebody and that person's going through a divorce, basically it's almost like if you're going through a divorce yourself. And so the main thing that you'd want to do, what I'm hearing is, number one, make sure that you have some conversations with the person and maybe with their attorney about what kind of strategy is going to be taking place, so that the business can be protected and the other partners in the business can be protected. That's what I'm hearing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay.
You might even want your own attorney to advise you.
Yeah, you know what? That's an awesome recommendation as well. You might retain your own attorney, and they're not going to be a party to the divorce. You're not a party, but you're interested in what happens, and so you might have an attorney looking out for your own interest. That's an excellent thought. Yeah, I would definitely recommend that. Yeah. So what kind of legal agreements might you want to recommend be in place for business partners that want to protect themselves? Let's say I'm in business with somebody, divorce is over the horizon. What kind of, because documents, man, they tell the story. Whatever words you say, just there's a saying, it gets carried away. Words that you say get carried away in the wind, but documents stick around for a while. So what kind of legal agreements would I be looking at putting in place so that I can protect myself if my partner is getting divorced?
Well, the cleverest agreement that I've ever run into happened before it was a accounting firm, and it wasn't because there was a impending divorce of one of the partners. It's because there had been a divorce of one of the partners a few years before my client was getting divorced, and it was so disruptive to this accounting firm that part of the partnership agreement was that if you get into contested litigation and your spouse's attorney starts making demands for documentation, which is what lawyers call discovery of documents, that you're out. You're no longer a partner, which was astounding. So that client was coming to me for mediation. He didn't have a choice, because if he ended up in contested litigation, he was out on his Easter. That was the end of that.
Oh my goodness! See, so that sounds like I've never seen a partnership agreement with some clause in it like that. But I understand where it comes from. I mean, this sounds like a case of on the part of the accounting firm, once bitten, twice shy. They've been through this before, and they are not going through it again.
Yeah, it kind of shut down the firm for a while. I mean, they still kept things churning, but my client told me it was so awful for the firm. It stressed everybody out. So I'm not even positive of the enforceability of such a contract like that with the partners, but I believe I'm not that type of an attorney, but this guy was in my office, and I know he got frustrated a few times, and I remember saying to him, "You're stuck with me." He was a nice man, but he couldn't litigate. He could not litigate. Like I said, I don't know if that's enforceable, but he took it seriously.
Well, so look, I mean, once you start fighting
that's
things,
sort of before the fact. But that's, I think something that all business owners or partners need to consider.
Well, even if something like that is not legally enforceable, I mean, once you cross over that threshold, now, your whole partnership is damaged. Because let's say that's, you litigate now against your partners, the thing wasn't enforceable. Now are you going to be in a partnership with somebody that doesn't want, right? So it's, it's going to be a sticky wicket either way you look at it. And that, folks out there, that is another reason why you want to go through mediation, get somebody like Robin, settle things out of court. Don't go the contested route, because definitely that's got its drawbacks, and that can certainly be one of them, right? The disruption that it can have on your business and on your life in general. Excellent choice to try and mediate and work your way out of it through the best means possible, right? So tell us this, Robin, getting towards the end of the segment. So how can people reach out to you if they want to find Robin and mediate rather than go through contested litigation?
Yeah, well, that's easy. Just give me a call or go on my website right up there at the screen, grainmediation.com. You can sign up for a free 15-minute consultation. I also have 1-hour consultations for less than half my normal rate. But most people get the job done just with a quickie free call, and we find out, if your case is appropriate for mediation. Not all are, but I can tell you that. It doesn't matter what state you're calling me from. I'll be able to figure out whether you have a case that's good for mediation or whether you need to get to the attorney's office right away.
Excellent. Oh my God, that is so valuable. And thank you for your service to the community, to society at large. My goodness, man. One time a client asked me, "Hey, John, how come lawyers why is their symbol the scales of justice?" Right? Mm-hmm. And so I told that person, look, because very frequently in a legal context, we're weighing, right? We're weighing one person's interest against another. We're weighing rights against responsibilities. We're always weighing one thing against another. Mm-hmm. And that is very, very important. That always sticks with me. And that's one thing I always tell people. So thanks very much for giving us that super, super valuable insight today, Robin. Appreciate it. Just want to thank everybody for being with us, and the audience out there. Call Robin if you got any family law or any mediation type questions. She's your go-to person, wonderful person, and she's going to help you out no matter what state you are in. Just at least the initial consult to figure out if you're a good candidate to be mediated. All right. Yeah. So thanks everybody for being on the NowMedia Network, Legal Talk. This is your host, John Mitchell, and I will be back with you next time.
Are you ready to shake up the world of health with me? Welcome to Disruptive Health, where we are flipping the script on traditional wellness. I'm Dr. Denise Brown, and on this show, we are diving deep into the latest trends and breakthroughs in health and wellness. Whether you're curious about nutrition, exploring new therapies, or just want to live your best life, Disruptive Health is your guide. Don't miss Disruptive Health, coming soon to NowMedia TV.
What if this happened to you when you're alone? Or what if it happened here? With MedGuard Alert, you're never alone. You can connect with medical professionals anywhere, anytime. And now MedGuard is introducing our exclusive new Care Watch. If you need help quickly, use it from anywhere to contact medical professionals. No cell phone required. The Care Watch is not only a life-saving medical alert device, it's a revolutionary health monitoring system that checks your blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation, and much more. And here's the best part. If you have Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. The Care Watch is only available through MedGuard Alert. Call us right now. We have monitoring programs starting as low as $1 a day. The call is free, activation is free, shipping is free, and no contract is required. Remember, with Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. Don't wait. Call us to get your Care Watch right now. Operators are standing by.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome back to Legal Talk. I am your host, John Mitchell, and we are here on the Now Media Network. I am very excited, overjoyed, ecstatic, in fact, to have everybody out there with us today. And boy, oh boy, do we have some great information for you, starting with this. Now, I know how everybody loves filing their tax returns, right? Yeah, not so much. But, you know, it's very necessary. We have to do it. You got to comply with the law. But sometimes, despite our best efforts and our best intentions, sometimes we're just, we fall behind, right? And sometimes one thing leads to another, and another year goes by, another year goes by. And sometimes we end up with several years worth of unfiled tax returns. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what kind of tips and tricks and strategies you can use if you fall into that type of situation. Now, earlier on in my career, a few years back, I had a case where there was a construction contractor and the IRS showed up one day with several notices, and they were asking about his equipment and his work trucks, and we're going to confiscate everything because you have not filed tax returns in, get this, 12 years. And they were intended to charge this guy. They had assessed him $480,000 over 12 years. And the guy came to me all in a panic. He says, John, look, I did not even make $480,000 in that period of time. I don't know if that's true or not, but you know, long story short, he had not done his taxes in several years, and the IRS is now after him. So what do you do in a situation like that, right? Well, here's one of the things to keep in mind, okay? There is an internal rule within the IRS that if you have fallen behind, let's say you owe 8, 9, 10 years worth of tax returns that you have not filed, there's an internal rule within the IRS that if you file the last 6 years, you're going to be considered in compliance, okay? In compliance means that, let's say you have 10 years worth of unfiled tax returns, you file the last 6, the IRS says, yeah, that's going to be good enough, we're going to accept it like that. That is usually the case. Sometimes with manager approval and such, they'll come back and say they want more years of tax returns to be filed, but usually you can get by with the last 6 years, okay? So that's the first thing to keep in mind. Now, why is it that it might not be smart, might not be a good idea to file further back? Some people say, well, I'm already filing, I've dug up all my old records, I'm going to go ahead and file every past year that I have not done. Well, that might not be a smart thing, because let's say we're right now in the year 2024, and let's say I had not filed my taxes since 2012. So I'm going to go back and say, well, I'm going to file my 2012 tax return. But did you know that if you file that tax return right now in 2024, that's when the statute starts for the IRS to collect on it. So even though the IRS has an internal rule that they'll only go back 6 years, if you file that 2012 tax return, they're going to take that tax return, they're going to process it, and they're going to charge you, starting from today, guess what? You now owe that debt which you would not have owed, right? And so they now have, if you file the 2012 return today in 2024, now you have to start thinking about, well, how am I going to pay this? Because they've got 10 years to collect on you, right? So it might not be a smart idea. Now, on the flip side of that, because everything in tax law, there's the rule and then there's the exception, right? So one of the things that you always want to keep in mind is that there's an exception to every rule, and the exception is that if the IRS has filed, they don't always do this, but if the IRS has filed a tax return on your behalf, it's called an SFR, or a substitute for return, and if the IRS files that on your behalf because you never filed it, well, guess what? The tax return that the IRS files for you is not going to be necessarily in your favor, right? They don't know your business expenses. They don't know how many dependents you want to claim. And so the tax return that they file is probably most likely going to leave you owing more money than what you would owe if you did that. Now, if you didn't file a tax return and the IRS files it for you, guess what? You can always go back, even years later, you can go back and file an original tax return, and that will lower the amount. I've seen it lower from $100,000 down to $10,000 just by filing a return that they had originally not filed. IRS filed one for the person, and now they owe this gigantic debt. They start getting letters in the mail, certified letters, scary letters. We're going to take your bank account. We're going to take your home. We're going to take your firstborn kid. Just kidding. They don't do that. They don't want any more kids. But long story short, I've seen it where the person can now go back and file an original tax return, wipe out the return that the IRS filed, and that's going to be in your benefit. So even if it's past the 6 years, it might be a good idea to go ahead and file that prior year tax return, just so that you can make sure that the numbers are more in your favor, right? Okay, so that's the reason why you might want to do that. Now, how do you decide which returns that you need to file to get back in the good graces? Well, definitely, if you haven't filed for several years, 6 years is the baseline, right? That's the bare minimum. So from 2024, what would that be? 2017, 2018 now? Terrible at doing math in my head like this, but long story short, I'm going to count back from this current year, 6 years prior, and that's going to be the tax returns that I'm going to file. And then I'm going to not file anything prior to that unless there's a good reason to do it. What are the two good reasons? Number one, if the IRS is asking for it, you pretty much have to go ahead and file. And the other reason why you would do that would be if you have an SFR on your, and a guy like me can pull the transcript from the IRS computer, figure out if there's an SFR on your file, and if there is, it might be worth it to file your tax return and let that override the return that the IRS did. That's going to lower the amount of money that you owe. So that's two good reasons why you might go ahead and file, even though you might otherwise not have to file. Now, there's another thing to take into account here, which would be the strategy that you would use for filing these past due returns. I would recommend, not filling out 6 tax returns, stuff them in one envelope, definitely not one envelope, and send it to the IRS all at one time. Why? Why is the reason? Okay, because that's going to land, if you do that, that's going to land on somebody's desk, some government bureaucrat. God only knows, they might be bored that day and they get a package with 6 tax returns. Now that might get their curiosity up, right? IRS folk, they might say, well, hey, wait a minute, this guy didn't file for 6 years. Now we got all these tax returns all at once. They all landed on my desk. Now is a good time to send them a letter and say that we're going to open up this guy for a tax audit, right? Examination. And you don't want an examination. That's going to be just more chances for things to go wrong. It's going to be an expense for you. It's going to be a hassle. So if you can avoid getting audited, then definitely avoid it. And one way that you can definitely avoid that, or most likely avoid, I don't want to say definitely, you can most likely avoid it by filing these returns in a certain way. So let's say I'm going to file 6 tax returns that I owe the IRS, right? I'm going to file starting with the most recent year and work my way backward. And I'm going to file the current return right now. That's going to be the first one I file. Then I'm going to put sticky notes on the envelopes for all the rest of them. And I'm going to start filing those 1 or maybe 2 weeks apart, right? So I'm going to file this one. I'm going to wait 2 weeks. I'm going to send the next one. I wait 2 weeks and the next one. And that way you have a very good chance, I would say 99% chance, that these tax returns that you file, they're going to land on the desk of different people that are going to receive these and process them. And when they process it, when they receive it and process it, they're only going to have the tax return that they're looking at in that moment. Okay, so it's just a strategy to keep them from getting curious and saying, hey, let's open this guy up for audit, right? Let's check this out. Let's dig a little deeper. Nobody wants that extra trouble. And so what I would do, definitely recommend, if you find yourself, first of all, don't get in the situation where you owe several years of tax returns. But if you're already in that situation, there are strategies, tips, tricks, the way that you can handle that that's going to be more favorable for you. And, first of all, last 6 years. Secondly, if there's an SFR or another good reason to file other years, do that. And then I would definitely say file them one at a time. That way you don't have several tax returns landing on the desk of one bureaucrat who might find himself bored that day and decide, hey, let's open this up for audit. So definitely spread it out if you can do that. I think that's, I've used that many, it's tried and true. I've used it many times, and if you come to me, that's going to be the thing that I'm going to do for you, right? So that's about it for that topic. As always, I am happy to get phone calls and emails from folks out there. If you have more questions, if you find yourself needing tax representation, I'm your guy. You can come with me, come with somebody like me. But it's word to the wise. You're going to be better off having somebody represent you than not having somebody represent you, because we do this, tax professionals, we do this all the time. We do it every day, all right? My name is John Mitchell again, host of the show, and I can be reached at Cantrell & Cantrell Tax Attorneys here in Houston, Texas, but we can handle people all over the United States and even internationally. I have clients in other countries. No big deal. We can do it. And my telephone number is area code 713-333-0555, and my email address is going to be jmitchell@cctaxlaw.com, and that is the topic for today. Thanks very much. We really appreciate it. Love the audience out there. Get in touch with me. I love to talk to people, and that's it for today. Thanks very much, and join us again next time on Legal Talk.
My name is Andrew Glisson. Over the past 4 years, I've built a portfolio of over 200 single-family rental properties that generate over $200,000 a month in income. I've put together a 6-step formula to help you consistently acquire rental properties that cash flow $250,000 or more a month and have $30,000 or more of equity built into them. This includes starting right, becoming bankable, buying right, renovating right, exit strategies, property management,